All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining me tonight. We have the honor of having Susan Lynn join us tonight, and it feels like it's been feels like it was only been like a month since our last show together. To me, it feels like it's been 3 months. How are you doing, Susan?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back on your channel. Yeah, it's
Yes.
like we're stuffing a lot in our timeline, aren't we? Kind of like
Mm,
just making it as full as possible.
yeah.
Lot going on.
A lot going on. Hard to keep
Lot
track of
going on.
everything. But it's good to see you, and I know everybody watching is happy that you're here with us too. Always
I'm
enjoy our
happy
time
I'm
together.
here. Yes.
All right. So me and
Awesome to be
Susan.
here.
Oh, thank you. Me and Susan are going to be reading on political and current event questions tonight. So if you have a question you want to submit, go ahead and write it in the chat, all caps with a couple emojis. We'll get to as many as possible, although I feel like every time me and Susan do a show together, we kind of just bounce back off of each other. So we don't do too many questions from the chat, but um, we'll try our best to get to as many as possible. All right. So I got a couple
Absolutely.
questions starred first, and be interesting to see your what you're picking up on it. I just did my show yesterday, and we had a lot of readings on. But Absolute Politics asked a good question. What do you two see as the October surprise this election? I might have to throw some cards on this.
There's
October
some
surprise is more so like big things coming out right before the election, correct?
right, right,
Is that what
right.
you mean by that?
Typically, yes. And I think something I don't want to throw us off, but I have to say that I guess today Melania came out and started talking about her nude modeling career.
Oh,
Like she
interesting.
brought it up apropos of nothing, like nobody asked about it. But this is the kind of distractions that you're going to see as
Mm,
we get into October and we see that big October surprise. Um, so when I go into that energy, I mean, look, you guys, how much has happened this week alone? It is Wednesday. So I don't even know. We might have multiple competing
yeah,
October surprises, right? Like, how do we know which one is the real one? There could be so many big things happening. But I feel like it has to do with 45. Personally, I feel
hmm,
like I feel like his team is going to try to throw walls under the bus in some way. I feel like they've got
mm.
a plan that they're trying to hatch regarding Walls to discredit him, is what I'm hearing. But it's going to fall flat. It's just not. It's just again the picture of Walls and Harris running ahead in the action movie, the two action heroes running ahead, and then behind them the bombs are going off, but that's not catching them. They're going to
Oh,
do their best, but it's just not going to catch up with them. So I feel like
nothing
it's going to be
sticks.
45. I think it's going to be um the okay, it's gonna make me mad, but I'm just gonna do it. The thing is that I think that we could see 45 have a real cognitive meltdown, complete and total,
Yeah.
just, like for instance, the guides are showing me McConnell. Why did McConnell get to stand up there not once but twice and literally go offline and nobody has
Mm,
removed him from his office? So
right.
we've set up this precedent of not holding people accountable or having two tiers of accountability. So I feel like it has something to do with 45, but what do you get?
Yeah, I threw some cards on it, and it's actually pretty interesting. I do feel
Great.
like I agree with you. The Republicans are gonna, you know, drop some or try to conjure up something to stick to Harris and Waltz. And I do feel like them getting particularly sexist,
Mm,
you know,
that
going
makes sense.
on about, you know, Harris sleeping her way to the top or something along the lines of that, something really disgusting and untrue. Um, but yes, trying to see what sticks with that. It's actually very telling because the cards I threw, and I feel like this relates to Trump, you have truth being revealed, information coming out with the justice card. So it could be this DC January 6th that rubs people the wrong way, judgment coming in. So more information and clarity on on the insurrection. But I also feel more and more stuff coming out, the dark money, money from overseas coming out, and it feels like it's Page of Pentacles and the Six of Swords here for anybody wondering. Um, to me, it feels like Trump's definitely involved with it. Could even be more about the Egypt stuff with like bribes, but I do feel like Russian money being exposed for Trump, for a lot of the GOP. Um, that's kind of what's coming through for me. It feels like it hurts Donald Trump a lot more than what's coming
Yes.
through with Kamala Harris.
Yes. Two things. I love the way Cookie, and this is true. We cannot predict when someone is going to pass over. Okay.
Yeah.
But Cookie says surprise is 45 is still alive in October. And I will say that honestly, the energy, his energy between now, I was going to say September 15th, but we're past that. September 15th and say mid-October is like, wow, it's pretty hard on his health. I can't
Yeah.
guarantee it, but I could see him checking out at that time. And then the other thing I want to bring up, you mentioned sexism with Harris. Well, they've already 40 or 45's gang of the Republicans or whatever
Mhm.
cronies, they've already put a picture out that they said was Harris with P. Diddy, but it wasn't with P. Diddy. It was another black guy. They don't even know who their
Mhm.
black people are. But let me tell you that P. Diddy could have a connection to 45
Mhm.
in a weird way, in an Epstein sort of way.
Right.
So this is just churning the mud at the bottom of the pond, and all this is going to come out, right? All this mud is going to come out, which is kind of reminds me of like this lunar eclipse, right? Too, this kind of
Yeah.
exposing.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%, Susan. And I agree too. I keep seeing like a public health meltdown for Trump as well. I don't know if it takes him
Montel
out,
Williams.
but I mean, you can clearly see how more he's becoming unhinged and just not cognitively there. The more he's put out there, all of the stress is really starting to hit him. Um, but I agree. I feel like there's a major health related thing coming up for him, and to me, it feels like it's before the election. So
Because really, I don't know. I mean, I'm not wishing anything bad on any of
right.
these people. We're just simply reading the energy. But I feel like Diddy might be Epstein. I think he's got way too much information and way too
Hmm.
much dirt. As a matter of fact, it was reported, the guys are reminding me, I think NPR, somebody reported today that he was recording. P. Diddy was recording this stuff and holding it against these people, which is a Russian move. That's exactly
Yeah.
what the Russians do, right? So, he's got stuff on people,
Hmm.
right? Um, and I feel like both of those men have switched sides from being usable or profitable or whatever it is to a problem. Once you
Mm.
become a problem, you're a liability. Once you're a liability, well, then there's windows and stairs
Right.
and bad, pickles on your hamburger and things like that.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that they're throwing P. Diddy in. I don't know that they're going to let him out. Like he scrapped together $50 million to put
Right.
down on bond, and I mean not scrapped it together, but he had to do some things. Um, it's interesting that he's
Yep.
in jail and Trump's not in jail.
Right. Yeah, and I was saying yesterday I did not feel like he'd be able to post bail, because he's too much of a flight risk. He has too many resources. He was contacting people that were cooperating and trying to
Those are
hold
Trump
extort
moves too.
people. Right. Right. But I agree with that too. It feels like it's a lot bigger than just P. Diddy and it kind of turning into like an Epstein kind of thing.
They want him gone. He is very
Yeah.
dangerous to them, and I don't know who them are. I'm not looking. Like, I don't need to
Oh,
make
right,
these people mad.
right.
Like, I only go so far, and then I'm like, not me. I didn't see nothing.
We need to protect ourselves, right?
Yeah, yeah, right. We need to protect ourselves. So, but do you get anything with Trump's health going into and past the November? Have you been reading? I didn't get to watch your thing yesterday, your
Hmm.
show yesterday. I usually do, but
Yeah,
I was slammed.
yeah. I always see him up at like a podium, and there's like a popping noise, but I also see him kind of grabbing at his heart. So I'm not sure if that's circulatory and it's like a stroke or an aneurysm, or if it's heart related. Um, but I see him up at a podium and like kind of short circuiting. And it
Wow.
feels like it's huge. I feel like it's all the news is talking
So
about.
that's the October. To me, that could be the October surprise.
If
I,
it,
I,
we still have a few weeks left to hear in September too.
yeah, we wouldn't want to screw September over and take
A
its little
September
surprise from
surprise,
it.
right?
Everybody can have a surprise. Everybody join in.
Yeah. I
Oh
mean,
my
that's the thing.
God.
Is timing's always hard, but to me, it feels
It's
like it's
extremely
before the
hard.
election.
And he has free will, right? And he has
Hmm.
free will. He might listen to his doctor. But you know, the thing also I wanted to ask you about was during the debate, that great picture where he's grabbing the podium and he's leaving the podium and he's like, you know, like, whoa, I just barely made it. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a great picture of him.
Uh-huh.
It's just like the whole thing is written all over him. And he leaves the podium. According to the rules, you're not supposed to leave the podium. Everybody knows that, you know, Kamala
Hmm.
Harris sat there and took notes, did not leave the podium. He left the podium and then he came back to the podium. My question is, how come he does these, you know, events with his people and he has the aphasia and he has the slips, and during that debate, which was 90 minutes long, he didn't really have too many slips. I mean, he was pretty lucid. So do you think that, for entertainment purposes only and allegedly, that they kind of pumped him up to the max to get everything as sharp as they possibly could?
Yeah,
Do you feel
absolutely.
like that could have
Those
happened?
stimulants will have you act a bit crazy too. So if you're trying to stay nice and composed, and then um, you start making no sense by bringing up 30 things unrelated to the question, or um, people eating cats and dogs. I
Right.
mean, it's
Okay.
it's but I feel like even the first debate, he was on something
Yes.
to kind of stimulate
Yeah,
him as
because
well.
that wasn't those are one-offs. He's never
Mhm.
managed to do that again. So what I see is, and this is what when I talk about vitamins in my videos, this is what I'm talking about because I'm just trying not
Okay.
to say the word. And I think people are like,
Mhm.
he's taking too many vitamin C. I'm like, no, he's not taking too many vitamin C. But you know, I see that it's almost like I was talking to a Fefe or somebody, and I was
Yeah.
saying it's almost like Michael Jackson and Michael Jackson's doctor,
Mm.
right? Or who's the guy who just crossed and they arrested his doctor too? The gay guy.
Oh,
Matthew Perry. Matthew
yeah.
Perry, right? So I feel like that could be that he's saying, I need this to be able to perform. And you know,
Mhm.
you need more and more and more and more. And that's where your pop comes in.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, even when he was president, I've been saying for years, there's been dementia and it's just
Remember the
progressively getting worse and worse too. So it's more than just circulatory. Um, so I'm not sure if it's all head related, or if it both are because of like the dementia and the cognitive decline, but then also heart issues.
yeah. It could be, Janice, that he has ADHD and it helps him focus, but I mean, why wouldn't you just take your medicine when you're going to Omaha to
Mm,
talk to your, you know, you're going to be on TV, or what? Why wouldn't you want to, you know, whatever he does, he really pushed it to the max that night. And I've
yeah.
seen those ischemic strokes. I've seen that many, many times, and the guides have told me many times. I think he's already had some, to be honest with you. Um, that he, you know, he has the best healthcare in the universe, right? Like really and truly. So, um, yeah. So,
Mm,
okay, sorry, Matthew Perry wasn't gay. I might be thinking about somebody else. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. I cannot predict that he's going to pass, but I can predict that this is a really dire time for him. Like if
Yeah.
he was a client or a friend of mine, I would be like, really being pretty bossy about, you've got to be careful, you got to do this, you
Mhm.
got to do that, because you're like on the edge of an exit.
Yeah. And that's what I feel too. I'm not going to predict when somebody's going to pass, but I don't feel a much longer life for Trump. We'll just put it that way. So, but I'll say with you know, things to help his ADHD and all of that, they give you doses for ADHD with the medicine, but if you abuse that, it's still going to work as a stimulant. So,
I take it back. Matthew Perry wasn't gay. Everybody can calm down in the chat. Calm down. It's okay. I'm sorry. I retract my statement. Okay, let's
right,
move
I think
on.
you right. So, what else do you want to look at tonight, Susan?
Well, did you want to talk about the pagers and or do you want
Yeah,
to?
we can. I haven't heard a whole lot about it, but was
Oh,
it
well, there you
in
go.
Lebanon the pagers were
Yeah,
exploding?
right. And now phones have exploded. Um, and now the thing that I thought was interesting was because now they're taking a lot of their phones and they're throwing them in a pile to blow them up,
Mm,
because now they don't know how or what. They have no idea the technology. I think that is
yeah.
such an important thing to hear, that they have the Hamas, they have them on their back foot. They don't know how this is happening. Frankly, I don't think any of us know how it's happening. Um, but it's happening.
Hmm.
Definitely it's happening. Yeah, the walkie-talkies, right? The walkie-talkies are exploding. Yeah, it's genius. It's absolutely genius. And it's a way of de-escalating this, right?
Yeah.
It's really focused on the people who use the communication devices that you've decided through intelligence are connected to, bad things. That's
Mm,
the way this thing should have been going from the very beginning.
yeah. My hit with it was I don't know if it was actually the phones or because there would be no way to kind of manufacture all the phones in that specific area to set them off. But my hit was like kind of like frequency, like overheating batteries and getting them to explode, kind of similar to like the Havana syndrome. It kind of feels like there's frequency that's affecting, like it's being targeted. I'm not sure if it's like everybody kind of sporadically their phone or if it's like groups of people in one location. To me, it feels almost more like the latter. Like it's
I
something
think it's
that's triggering.
groups,
Yeah.
because if they thought someone had access to these walkie-talkies and had they would be looking for that person.
Right.
And you don't see that. You don't see them doing this manhunt. You see them taking their walkie-talkies, throwing them in a pile, and blowing them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so that then, if that's the case, then you've disabled their communications, which is huge. And
Yeah.
I would say whoever did that, and I would suggest, I think you're probably already on this page with me, but I would suggest, Kevin, that we don't go too deep, that we don't say anything. I just wouldn't go. I wouldn't go say anything
Hmm.
too deep about this, because it's a very scary groups of people, and we don't
Yeah.
we don't need to know things we shouldn't know. Okay, that's
Hmm.
not good for us. So,
But
but having said
can
that,
I
go
just
ahead.
say with
Yeah,
that though,
you can
do
say
you
anything you
feel like
want.
it's do you feel like it feels like it's being targeted, but I don't feel like it's being targeted against us or I feel like there's safety for us
Oh no, I
here.
think it's totally targeted towards them, and I think
Hmm.
that hey, I'm not going to say that, but anyway, I think it's interesting, because then I wonder if it could be used in Ukraine. You know what I mean? Like, depending on, but you know what I just got, and I think I can say this, but I think it could be through drones.
Mm,
So,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, and maybe like that's what's doing like the frequency or something
sending
that's getting them to
sending the
overheat.
and you would know, like, you would know that this particular group of people is likely getting their phone, walkie-talkie, pager from this source, like North Korea or whatever. And
Mm,
if there's a known kind of technical thing that should have been recalled, that the battery overheats if you send this frequency. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it would be easier. Like in America, it's not going to be, it's impossible. We have 7,000 different models, a million different, things, but they don't have access to that. So they're likely all using the same brand and even the same model. And I think that's why this weakness has been exacerbated or been able to have been pinpointed.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I have a question for you, Susan. Do you get any hits on if there's going to be a government shutdown at all, or like percentage of it? I was
I
kind
just
of
heard
feeling.
yes, but go
You feel
ahead.
like there may be one. I was kind of feeling like it was going to be close, like it was in the past, but I feel like Johnson having to work with Democrats, and I kind of feel like a similar fate to Johnson as McCarthy faced.
Exactly.
Hmm.
I was just gonna say that this, you and I both, and I don't know who all else has seen Jeffries
Hmm.
stepping in as speaker before the election. So this could
Or
be one when that happens,
before they come in
or
for the next term too.
before
Yeah.
the term is ended, sometime between now and December. This could be how that happens. Here's the thing, as the Republican Party implodes and some of them are realizing this guy's not going to win, therefore I'm really in big trouble here.
Hmm.
um I need to try to save my seat or be nice to these Democrats who are going to be investigating all of us, right? And pull a Cheney, try to be somebody else. So you really could see some of these Republicans turn coat, is the word I'm getting,
Hmm.
on people like Johnson or people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, here
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that Loomer is a racist. I mean, this party has lost their minds, like they're literally a circus.
Yeah. They might. Throwing some cards on it. They might. I feel if they do shut it down, it will be very short lived. But I have people fighting this. People going to war, being impulsive, bringing the fight. My thing is, the more moderate Republicans or those that are in swing, really competitive races. I mean, this is going to be disaster for them. Which, I feel bad for the people that wouldn't get paid, but politically, I mean, it would be like suicide for the Republican Party not to pass a budget right before the election. But
It's going to
there's
guarantee even
plans
more
to
of a
do it,
win.
and
Yeah,
Trump's all on
they
board
really
with
want to
it
do it.
too.
Trump wants to do it. He feels
Hmm.
like it's gonna save him, or you know what? Instead of saving him, he kind of isn't. He always about delays. He's always about distractions and delays because,
Hmm.
and it is true, right? Look how long he's been able to delay things. He's this is working for him. This little delay, little delay, little distraction is actually really helping him. So even
Hmm.
if it's a distraction, it helps him. It buys him another week. Right now, I think he's day by day.
You're right, right, minute by minute. Yeah, and it's like I've been saying for a while, the Republican Party is going to implode. Donald Trump is going to drag the whole party down.
Yes,
Um,
that's right.
Even when he loses the election,
Yes,
there's going to be so much chaos that they try to do, but it literally is pulling the whole party down with it.
yes.
And I feel like they're going to have to rebrand and start over. It actually kind of fractures. You have the
Yeah.
extremists and people that have had enough of Donald Trump losing elections for them, ready to move on to a new leader. So, all right. What's your feeling about, the news is always wants to peddle the fear and the doom and all of that and make it seem like the race is so much closer than what I feel like it is. But what is your feeling about like the polling like in Alaska and Iowa lately where it's showing the race is becoming more competitive? I don't put too much energy into the polls, but the fact that you have deep red states like that and it's almost like in flipping district or uh, you know able to kind of flip and make it competitive, I think is pretty telling. Of course,
I
so if you
saw
watch the
Iowa
news,
going
it's going to
blue.
be so close. um and they keep peddling that. I think it's going to be very similar to the 2022 election where they were saying Republicans were going to win the House by 50, 60 seats. I think they're going to be quite surprised election day.
The thing I feel like I was going to go blue. I really do. I saw that like a month ago. It's hard to believe
Oh,
it, but
interesting.
I that's something that I saw. I mean, who knows? Um, you know what I'm concerned about, honestly, is I just
Mm,
clipped it too. But I don't even know where my phone is. So I'm really concerned. The guides told me in a video of who whenever that whole states would not verify their vote. Like
mhm.
so now there's I clipped this thing because it was so fascinating and I think I clipped it. Um and it basically said that this state is saying I'm not going to do it. And I thought, are
Yeah.
we going to have the National Guard? Are we going to have the National Guard to come in here? You know?
I just heard no to the National Guard when you asked.
Okay.
But it feels like it's a bit intense and I see a lot of legal challenges.
Yeah. So, and then Cash Peters today does his fingers and he got that Kamala Harris wasn't going to win after he's been getting that she is going to win.
Oh,
And then when
interesting.
he went through the whole thing and it's what you and I have been saying for months, which is there's a delay.
Mm,
There's a delay. It doesn't sort itself out. So he got that she wins like by I don't know, December or October, December or after the thing.
oh,
Um,
interesting.
which we've been telling you guys this for months that it
Mhm.
just seems like it doesn't get sorted out in some way until the spring. But I don't
Yeah.
know how that's going to manifest. But forewarned is forearmed, okay?
Yeah, I think that it's good to know that there's energy behind what you're feeling, but I've definitely felt a bit of a shift away from that as well. The
I
thing
did
is that I
too.
think it's going to be so clear that Kamala
But if the
and
states
Walls
don't
won.
certify it, if the states don't certify, I'm
Right.
telling you, there's real energy around. I think even with some of these states not certifying it, people like Alaska and Iowa and
Mhm.
Georgia. I mean, I just think some of these other states are going to certify, and she's going to win, but it's going to look hinky. It's going to look weird,
Yeah.
and it's going to be challenged. And I don't know
It will be
if
challenged. I agree.
she can take office in January. And then I think was it you? Somebody was reading that, and a lot of people have asked me this question, and I haven't seen it as of yet, but maybe the energy has
Mm,
changed as well. As something happens to Biden, and then she has to assume the presidency. I mean, not something bad, but something happens.
yeah.
And do you see anything happening with Biden and his health between now and January?
I'm not picking that up.
Yeah, I wasn't picking it up either. But
But
this energy is crazy, y'all. It's
mhm.
crazy.
What I was gonna say though with in regards to the last question is I think even though there may be some states that want to challenge or try to throw out votes or not certify, I think we're gonna probably know, maybe not election night, but I think the next day that she's the winner. We might actually know election night is what I'm feeling. So the thing is that they can try to
Yeah.
throw out votes and try to manipulate the election outcomes, but they're not going to be successful and it's going to be by such a big, I mean, it's still going to be tight, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be so overwhelmingly, that they won, Kamala won, that they're not really able to cheat in the end is what I'm kind of feeling. But they're going
And
to try to
you're
solve
still
things and delay things.
getting this because of that obviousness that the Supreme Court's going to pass
Exactly.
on hearing the whole thing because
Yeah.
it's pretty obvious. Even with the states with the shenanigans, even if we take them out of the ratio, out of the counting,
I think she'll
she
still
still
win.
wins. She still
Mhm.
wins.
And I felt weird about Georgia too, and maybe that's where it's kind of coming in, but, if it's Georgia and a couple other states that don't wanna certify, she could still have the 270 that she needs to even still to make it, even if there's legal challenges. I'm just feeling a big momentum and push because people are tired of Trump and, they have Trump fatigue. So,
Yes, they
our
do.
presidential elections are always somewhat competitive and close, and I don't know if I feel Iowa turning blue. I've had some good cards for Florida possibly turning blue, but intuitively, I don't know. Maybe that's one of the other states. Maybe she doesn't quite need Florida. Um, but I feel like she's going to win all the states that Biden won, plus North Carolina. So that gets her well over 300 electoral votes, like
Right, right.
320.
So was that Ohio? Did Ohio go for Biden?
I think it comes much closer. Like it might be a
Okay.
point or two, but I think Trump's gonna win Ohio. But I see the Senate race staying blue. I see Sherrod
Right.
Brown winning.
Right. I
Eh,
see the Senate stained blue. I see it's just
mhm,
a matter of how much. We've got to have enough of a margin that we can get things done, that we're not stuck like we are now, where it's just a battle all the time for any little thing, right? We
mhm.
really need a majority. So I guess there's more dastardly acts by Roberts. I mean, are you caught up on
Yeah.
that?
Um, yeah, I heard something about him wanting to take the Trump case and use it as a stall tactic and all of that.
In advance, yeah,
Mhm.
he and then he gave it to Alito, and then he took it back from Alito. Um, that's all very, unethical, and I
Yeah.
think what were you reading about Roberts in the past? Because I think you might have been one of the ones who
I
saw
feel like he's
problems for
gonna
him.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Thomas may leave after at either at the end of this year, like I keep getting December, end
Thomas?
of this year,
Yes.
beginning
Yeah.
of next year. But I see massive investigations into the Supreme Court, and I do feel I'm feeling like three justices will have to leave if it's or like step down.
God, there's so
Thomas
many
may
more that could.
right.
Yeah.
But
So,
I've always felt like Roberts being one of them
yeah,
for
I
sure.
think Roberts is one of them. He's gonna be ashamed. I feel like there's shame attached to
Mhm.
his name,
Yeah,
when he does step down, like it's in shame.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And it might not be in 2025. Like I feel like investigations going into 2025 and even into early of 2026. So it might not be right away, but in the end I see it being good because we both have seen a lot of rules and regulations being put in place that have been needed for a long time. They'll kind of cut some of the power that the Supreme Court has overstepped recently.
do you feel like the Senate Dems will do that? Do you feel like the Senate Dems will do stuff that they wouldn't in the past, like really think about the
Oh,
filibuster?
absolutely.
You think they've got the moxie, or they found their spine, or whatever happened? Maybe they
Absolutely.
just get one at a Halloween store. It's coming. Get a Halloween spine, put it on. Maybe we should
Yeah.
send them Halloween spines. I don't know.
I've been seeing them making changes to the filibusters for a while, and it very well may be the Senate that is investigating the Supreme Court and doing Supreme Court
I feel
reform.
like it is the Senate. I feel
Hmm.
like it is the Senate, and I feel like Kamala. The other thing, guys, don't underestimate that when she wins, it's like all those people know it's game over. Like they get it. Like, oh snap, the
Hmm.
prosecutor is now the president of the United States, and she has a much faster. She just moves. She just does things faster than Biden. Do you
And
see
she's not
her?
quite as careful as Biden, I would say,
No,
too.
no, she's not at all fearful of Biden, or whatever it is. He's reticent. Let's just call it
He
reticent.
likes to work
Um,
across the aisle and try to get
yeah,
some bipartisanship.
and
And I'm not
she's
saying that
like,
Kamala won't try to get bipartisanship, but she doesn't need it.
no, she doesn't need it. So, do you see? I had a question for you that was really, really important. Come on, come on. Um,
Don't you hate when that happens?
I do hate it when it happens. Um, oh well, it'll come. It'll come
Uh,
back around on the conveyor belt.
what are you picking up for the Senate races? Like, what seats do you feel like could flip?
I still have hope for Gloria Johnson in Tennessee. I think it's a
Mhm,
squeaker, but I have hope for her. I will say, you guys, it's miracle beyond miracle, but I'm seeing Kamala Harris and Colin Allred signs in my neighborhood. I haven't
oh, I
seen
love
signs
it.
like this in years, years and years and years. Even when Obama was president. Um, so I think Allred could flip, especially with
Mhm,
Cheney coming down here and and literally campaigning with him.
Yeah.
He seems to have really picked up steam. His social media is quicker, is more, it's just more active. Even the guy running against MTG, who was kind of a little bit like slow to get started. Now he's kind of really going after her. I like that woman in Florida, Mercuso,
Hmm.
Debbie. I like her. Who are you picking up on? There's others that
Yeah.
Gallego. Um, I don't know. Is he
Well,
a
I feel
senator?
like all of the I think the only seat that may flip from blue to red would be West Virginia, but if you even want to call Joe Manchin a
Yeah,
Democrat,
yeah,
but
like,
I do see the Montana race being really close.
Tester.
But I do
It's
feel like
really close.
Tester's going to be able to win. The thing is I think Montana, Missouri, and Florida all have um, choice on the ballot,
Missouri
and I
is
think
Kuntz, right?
Coons, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like that could go blue. I agree with you. I think Debbie Marcasco-Powell could win. I've seen Ted Cruz out for a while, so Colin
Yes.
Allred may win there. I feel good, and I get good cards when I throw on Gloria Johnson, but I feel like we need to
She
start
needs.
seeing her. She needs some publicity. Um, and I feel like Ohio State's blue too. I mean, all the battleground states I see staying blue. It's interesting that you bring up signs because I'm here in Ohio and in a pretty red district. And although I do see more Trump signs than Harris signs, the Harris signs are starting to pop up everywhere around here too. I actually had somebody
Nice.
steal my Harris wall sign, some kids, so I had to get that replaced. But
Well,
gotta
that
love
isn't
them.
that funny that in Texas, like I've seen two new Trump signs that I didn't notice before, but I've seen at least 20
Hmm.
new Kamala and also all red signs. So it's interesting. Oh,
Yeah,
also Brooks. Thank you
I
so
see
much,
her winning.
Maureen. I love also Brooks. Hogan
Hmm.
is a problem, you guys. He is a sheep. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's what the guides want to call him. Um, how do you feel about Bobert? People are asking about Bobert.
It's interesting because her and MTG, she switched her district. Had she not switched her district, she would have definitely lost. So I'll say, maybe she's consulting with somebody giving her advice to stay in there. I feel like they both may win. However, I think when the January 6th stuff starts to come out on a lot of the Republicans that were behind it, I think she'll have to leave. I think they'll both have to leave. I hope that she
Mars,
can. I hope that Boebert is voted out, but she's in a pretty red district, so
I
it's
kind of see her sticking around, but don't worry because Jack Smith has both of their phone numbers in his phone.
yeah.
Uh,
I don't think
um,
I don't think Boebert or MTG will finish their next term
no, they're not. I
if they
don't
get
see
in
that
there.
either.
Hmm.
Marcy says she had her mailbox blown up here in Stark County, Ohio.
Oh
I
wow.
mean, y'all think Texas is rough, but I'm telling you, some of y'all got us beat up there. Um, geez, you really have to be careful. You have to just. It's a person by person decision whether you put a sticker or you have a sign. You have to make that decision for you.
Well, in Ohio too, I don't remember what county it is. There's a sheriff that is telling everybody to write down the addresses of all of the yards with Harris Waltz signs. So they're already
Yes,
trying to target.
and they are doing that. They're
Mhm.
going house to house and interviewing you, which should be against the law. I
I
don't
think
even
it
know
is.
what is.
I see the
I just
DOJ
don't even
going
know what is
after him.
happening right now. It's we are in crazy town.
Mhm.
Seriously. Do you see Michael Cohen running for Senate?
I'm not
Senate?
picking that up.
I'm
I don't know
gonna
about
rule
Senate. He
out a
might try
House
to run.
run.
What was that, Susan? I'm sorry.
House, is that what you're gonna say?
I was gonna say he may run for the House, but I don't know if he's successful in that.
Right.
I don't see him in DC.
They don't make enough money. I think he's decided he can make a lot of money somewhere else doing something
Hmm.
else. And he's really burned. He's still trying to get Johnson out. I mean, he's still fighting all of them. Seriously. He has like a
Hmm.
personal vendetta that he has.
Yeah, and I do feel like he may run for something. Senate's not resonating, but maybe House. But the thing is that maybe it's a competitive primary because I don't even know. I don't even feel like he gets past the primary.
And he is a convicted felon, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't
Mm.
know. I don't know what the rules are. The rules can be uh
Well, you can run
weird.
for president,
You can
so
run for president, but I don't know if you can run for House. That's the funny thing about it, right?
right, isn't that
Um,
crazy?
yeah, it is crazy. So yeah,
All right. Did you remember that question that came to you,
no, it
Susan?
is so gone.
It must not have been
Uh, why do
too
you
too
think
long.
we haven't found the Jan 6 BOMBER yet?
I think they know who it is. I've been feeling
Yeah,
that they've known who it is for a while, but they're waiting to get things started with Trump before they start going after other people.
yeah, that's
I've
what I
always
think
felt like
too.
it feels like a staffer to one of the Congress people.
Yes, 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 exactly. Like a page, like they
Mhm,
call them a page, right? I totally get that. Um, that's kind of what I was. Maybe that's where I was going with that question. Once, well, I said it, but it bears repeating because once Kamala has got that sewn up, the everybody is history. Like those people will start being indicted and having, you know what I mean? Like once and again, like Marshawn putting the court
mhm.
case off. I know people are like, "Oh, it's brilliant legally," and I'm like,
It's
"We delay,
frustrating.
we
We're
delay
frustrated
justice."
with all of this,
What are we
yes.
saying? We're saying that if this convicted felon and adjudicated rapist wins the presidency, then it doesn't matter that a
Mhm,
jury of his peers said that he was convicted. That's a mockery of our Constitution, a mockery of our
yeah,
law, and I really don't agree with it. But
I agree.
but here
And if
we
it
are.
was any of us, we would have been locked up a long time ago, so,
Yeah, like P. Diddy. Be
yeah,
locked up like P. That's what Trump should be locked up like P. Diddy. 50 million, not gonna work. You know,
yeah.
you're under the
But
jail.
and I don't agree with this too, but I do feel like part of it is for our overall security too,
I
for
agree.
the security of it. I know
You're
that
right.
it's not what people wanna hear, "Don't shoot the messenger,"
I know. I've said that too.
but and also too, it's almost better, I think, him being charged after the election. Let's get the election over with because that's where he really has to lose is at the ballot box, and
You're
then, you know.
right. You're That's what the spirit guide said is the people have to throw him out.
Mhm,
It's not the justice system, it's us. We throw him out.
yeah.
And,
That's
and
kind of how
then
he gets his
we send
biggest
that
karmic
energetic
justice.
message.
Yeah, and that's, like, the same thing with, like, you know, all of these attempts, we won't say the word, but,
Yeah.
which we can actually get into that next because somebody asked a question, but all of these attempts, it's better for we don't want him to be a martyr, you know? We don't want all that sympathy for him. Let's have him lose at the ballot box, and then
Yes.
whatever's meant to happen will happen.
That's right. And then I'm telling you, he's a goner. If he lives that long, he will mentally just crater. His
Mhm.
health, everything will crater. You know, it's like when you're living on adrenaline, right? And then after the accident, you just fall down. You're just like you didn't realize what was keeping you upright. He's living on adrenaline and whatever else is happening. And once all that's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. Somebody says he needs to be fired again, right. And he needs to lose so that we can actually move on and even, I mean, there'll be some extremists still there, but,
And think about it this way: the guides just said, I mean, here's the stark difference. The stark difference is that if the judicial system puts him away, the whole country still doesn't know whether or not the country would support somebody like him or not. So now we get the chance for the whole country to weigh in and give our vote, our what we want. And then there's no discussion. Look, you guys lost. You lost by millions and millions and millions. It's a mandate. It's a whole different energy.
mhm.
All right,
Yeah.
switching gears to the
And we don't have to get super deep in this. I just read on it yesterday too, but, um, what's your feeling about I don't even wanna call it an attempt because, there's plans all the time and it's not talked on the news for 2 days. I mean, it wasn't even like, they were close or there was a, clear shot or anything like that, so,
and that GUN that he had, it's not an AR, it's an AK by
yeah.
reporting, and it doesn't have the range. So he could not have done that in that way. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, something is super. Oh, first of all, right? You really have to say this poor guy is mentally deranged. He has
Yes.
police, whatever you want to say, reports from having done. He's been in trouble with the police before. Let's just put it that way. Um,
Yeah.
he's mentally unwell. Number one. Number two. Um, I feel like when I go into the energy, I feel like he was slightly coerced or tipped off. Like somebody
Mhm.
said, "Hey, if you wanted to really do something, you could do this." And he says, "Well,
Mhm.
I don't have anything." And he's like, "Well, I got one. Here, take this." So my question is, if that is that how you feel it went down, or how do you feel like it went down?
It feels sketchy to me, and I'm not a conspiracy
Sounds like a
theorist, or
plan.
I don't typically go there. I mean, even the first one, it felt like a legit um, attempt. Something is off about this. I agree. I feel like he was obviously not mentally well, but um, to me, it almost feels like something that Trump can grift on to incite his base and say that it's the left. They need to stop talking about anything that's bad about me because they're the ones that are inciting this. It feels like it's something to be grifted off
Well, I
of
mean,
this
yeah,
guy.
they're using it. They're Don Jr.'s out there saying the left is inciting this kind of
Mm,
thing. I mean, they're really using it, and it's perfectly timed for to incite that kind of energy right before
yeah,
a VOTE. So it's perfect. And I do feel like there's going to be a third one for some reason. Do you feel like that?
I felt like there was going to be multiple. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know about a third one, but when the first one happened, I said I felt like there would be multiple. It's all to play, for the sympathy too. He's such a victim. They're after him. It kind of goes all into that
that's right.
narrative. But you
That's
know what?
right.
I'll say, I'll never forget when Paul Pelosi was attacked and Trump Jr. and all of them were making jokes about that. Or I found my new costume with underwear and a
Photos.
hammer. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
photos.
that's okay,
Photos of
right?
right. That's
They
okay.
don't incite people.
Look, it's never unless the Democrats just get rid of these people and say, you know what I mean? What we need to do is pass laws like they have in other countries that say
Hmm.
you can't incite. You cannot say these things. It's against the law. We've got to pass laws like that here.
Yeah, and I agree with Tida's mom. And I was telling Susan before we started too. The thing that it really sounds sketchy to me is that it wasn't published anywhere that he was going golfing or his schedule for that day. So how is somebody going to know? Oh, he's going golfing. Let's camp out. And
When I think there's 3 golf courses or multiple golf courses that he can
mhm.
go to. I mean, it's a pretty good guess he's gonna go golf course he's gonna go to a golf course on his day off, but which one? Right?
Right.
And they said this guy was there from 2 in the morning, just camped out ready to go. The other
Hmm.
question is, there are reports of supposedly shots fired, of, Secret Service firing shots. I mean, how did how did you not just like spray that whole area, right? Like I don't
Hmm.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. However, one thing that doesn't make sense too is that if he is in some sort of way some sort of way this was tipped off or created, he's going to be telling law enforcement that, right? And could
Yeah.
that get back to 45? So that's why it's a good thing. That's why they would normally try to off the person. That way, the narrative is theirs. They can make the narrative whatever they want.
Right. They can make it look like it was a bigger threat than what it actually was. Is kind of what I was feeling. Um, yeah, I agree. There's something is not right there. I'm not going to go too deep down that rabbit hole, but yeah, and I agree with a lot of people in the chat too, their comments. Somebody just asked a question. Do you see Vindman winning that congressional race? Was it um
Shoot,
I don't remember which one it was. I remember there's I don't remember his first name.
I know. Do you want to pull
I felt
card?
like
I heard. Go ahead.
okay, you want just say what you said. I read on it, I think
I
yesterday.
think I heard no. I
You
don't
heard
know
no.
how because I think he's fantastic. So let me
When I read on it yesterday, I felt like it was going to be a really tight race, but I felt like he may just Eugene Vinman. Thank you. I felt like he was able to just win it, but it
Well,
was like
good.
literally
Let's
by
go
like
with
2
your
or
reading.
3 votes. But I'll throw a
Let's go
card
with
on it.
yours.
I think it's a tight district,
It
or
shouldn't
maybe a
be, but I think it
Republican
is.
leaning. I have the Fool, the New Beginning,
Good.
so I'm going to
Nice.
stick with it. I
Nice.
feel like
Nice.
he
Nice.
just
Nice.
may.
He would be such a nice asset, such a nice addition. It'd
Mhm.
be great. Um, so yeah. Um, let's just answer this question that Anja keeps asking about Liz Cheney about what is the
We want
percentage?
to.
I'm okay. I took my Liz
We're going to
Cheney
trigger Susan
rabies. I
tonight.
had rabies shots. I'm not. um, what is the chance of Kamala appointing her to a position? So I'm not sure Liz wants it because the way I read Liz's energy is it's like Kevin said, the Republican Party is breaking apart. It's literally just breaking into pieces. And what I've
Mhm.
always thought about Liz is she really wants to go back and be the leader of the Republican Party. That's her dream. And if
Mhm.
she's in the administration, I don't I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't read Liz because now I'm starting to get triggered.
I
I
feel like
saw
she's going
more
to be
Adam
offered
Kinzinger.
something.
Go
I don't
ahead.
know if she takes it, but she'll be offered something. I do
She
feel.
doesn't take it. That's what I was saying. Like, I'm not sure that she wants to be in that administration. I
Mhm.
think she wants to rebuild the Republican Party in
Yeah, I
her
felt the same.
her leadership style.
Mhm.
But
There's an
what about
offer there,
Adam
though.
Kinzinger? What about Adam? I could see Adam taking a position in
I
her
could see
cabinet.
Adam too, but I almost feel like I I feel like Liz Cheney kind of goes back and forth with it. If she actually accepts it or not. I don't know if she wants to tie herself to a Democratic
Exactly.
administration.
That's
And I
yeah.
agree with you, though. I do feel like she's going to want to rebuild the Republican Party. But it's something, that's where free will comes in. Does she take it? Does she
That's
not
where
take
free
it?
will comes in.
I feel more energy around Liz Cheney. But maybe that's because there's an offer there than Adam. But I could see either of them.
If I could see Kamala Harris creating some sort of bipartisan external outside
Mhm.
of anything group at advice words I'm getting is advisory group.
Yeah.
And I could see Liz Cheney being on that, you know, because Liz Cheney wants to steer the Democrats. That's part of the fox in the hen house. She wants to get in there and steer us, but she doesn't want to be tied to it. Is
Yeah.
Adam as evil as Liz? Okay, yes, he is. I follow him on X. I see his tweets and I'm gobsmacked. Literally gobsmacked. I
Mhm.
know he comes across as super all-American cool guy and
Mhm.
he's very smart, he's very, articulate, but his tweets, he's pretty really right wing.
Yeah.
Just seriously.
But I don't want to also say that because somebody's right wing, it makes them evil. I do
I
feel like there may be an agenda there with Liz Cheney. I mean, you can. I'm not going to go that far. Um, I'm sure most of the chat will probably agree with you, but
well, I don't know. I
um,
mean, most people think of them as American heroes, American patriots. I'm like,
well, that's what I was going to say. I don't
they're
agree with
not
their
patriots.
policy. I,
Is
I I don't
Liz
agree with their policy, but at least when nobody else had the backbone to stand up to Trump, at least they are, fighting for what's best for the party because they see the cancer there, and they're not going to just allow Trump to bully them around or silence them. So in that aspect, I respect both of them. Do I agree with their policies? Do I think that they have our best interests at heart? No.
what if let me just take what you said and just throw devil's advocate. What if the the main reason that they divested themselves from Trump around J6 is the same reason that Mike Pence did, and that reason is I don't want to go to jail. So maybe
Mm,
they're not patriots, they simply just didn't want to go to jail.
yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that either. But um, And I'll say everybody in the chat I think is agreeing with you. So, and that's fine.
I am super spicy today, y'all. Don't,
Don't talk about Liz
I should
Cheney
have
with.
done a warning. I should have done a warning, because I don't know what it is, but I'm super spicy. So yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, I just want
Right.
everybody to use their brain. And if you use your brain and you come to the conclusion that you can trust them, that's fine. But don't just follow the narrative without doing. I would suggest all of you guys look at Adam's votes and look at Liz's votes and make your own. It's very easy to see the
Yeah,
votes. It's not complicated. It's very easy.
I agree 100%. I don't want them in our administration. I would not vote for them, but like I said too, at least they have somewhat of a backbone. So, do we want to talk about Liz Cheney anymore to get Spicy Susan out?
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't
Everybody
know.
loves
I don't,
Spicy Susan, is what they're saying in
she's
the chat.
I like I tell you guys, my spirit guides aren't worried about Trump. They're not worried about even Mike Johnson. They're worried about Liz Cheney because she's
Yeah, I
going to
think
be
long term
around
wise.
when we're rebuilding, and that's where people like Kamala Harris are going to want to get multiple um multiple opinions. But the difference between Kamala Harris and say Biden is Kamala Harris has very deeply held values that come from her childhood that are a little bit different than Biden's. Like I saw
Right.
her today. If you guys haven't seen it, I shared it on my community page. She was speaking to the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, I think it is, and it was a brilliant speech, and it was like you could hear a pin drop. They were on the
Mm.
edges of their seats listening to her. They did clap, but for the most part, they just really wanted to hear what she had to say about their constituents. And one of the things she said that I think struck me was she said, every single time one of my, assistants comes up and says, we're going to do this policy. This is the policy. We've written the policy. Let's go over the policy. Kamala says, I want you to create a person with a name, and I want you to tell me how this policy is going to affect that person
Mm.
in their house. Like she goes
Yeah.
all the way down into the granular. So I think because of that, I don't see Liz Cheney being able to sway her because
Mm.
Kamala Harris in the roots of the core of her believes things that Liz Cheney don't, like Head
Yeah.
Start should be available to kids. Kids should have free lunches. She said today, families should have a ability to buy a house, right? So she really, in their cores, they're very different.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like this is what I'm getting. Y'all know I disagree. I just want it on the record that I disagree. But anyway, Kamala Harris respects Liz Cheney's international perspective. Let's put it that
Mhm.
way. Maybe because of her dad, maybe she feels like she had access to it. So she kind of feels like Liz Cheney has an interesting international perspective. And it's a good question for you. Do you think that Kamala Harris is going to be a little more hawkish on the international stage?
Mm. I don't feel like extremely hawkish, but I do feel like security is definitely like most important to her. Um, are you saying though, like if Liz were to take something, it would feel more like an ambassador to another country kind of situation?
Well, see, an ambassador, it's more, to me, it's more like intelligence. It's not. I don't see Liz as Secretary of State. I see Buttigieg as Secretary of State. But
Yeah, I agree.
but I feel like there could be an ad hoc position, or I don't know. I'm just when I go into, I've never done it. I went into Kamala Harris Energy and I looked at. I said, "Why are you even talking to this woman? Like, what's up?"
Mhm.
She respects her stance towards the international situation. Like, I think Biden is a Scorpio. Biden is going to sting you, but maybe not immediately, right? And
Mhm.
so he's very reticent. He's going to try every possible single thing to work something out. I'm not sure
Yeah.
that Kamala Harris has the patience. I think Kamala Harris just moves faster. She's got a lot of
Mhm.
Aries in her. She just moves faster. And I think she appreciates that in Liz Cheney. I think both her and Hillary Clinton, don't yell at me, and Liz Cheney, all three women would not suffer fools internationally. They would be
Yeah.
much quicker to say, not that we're going to bomb you, but much quicker to say, don't try that. We know what you're
Mm.
doing. Like they're showing me Obama when he talked to Putin right before he left office. And he was talking to Putin, and you could say he was like, giving him what for. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's all.
Do you feel like it's because all three of them are women, and so they need to have that portrayal of strength and not being walked all over? Do you feel like that's what it is? Like really fighting um,
I think women that
that
get to
image?
that place have to onboard a lot of masculine qualities. To get to that
Hmm.
place, you've had to put up with a lot of BS, especially as a black woman. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I do think that. And I don't know if this is true or if this was the narrative, how they portrayed her, but a lot of people thought Hillary Clinton would have been a war hawk. A lot of people
Yeah.
thought Hillary Clinton, but I don't think she would have. I think she's a brilliant strategist in
Hmm.
retrospect. I think she would have been a brilliant strategist. I think she would have
Yeah.
had all those men doing pirouettes. You know what I mean? She really would have. Well, we'd be in a different place. But yeah, I think it's true about those three women.
Mm. Yeah. And I don't feel like that means Harris will be like impulsive or um, not really
No, I
think
don't
things
see
through and the
impulsive
ramifications
or
before doing that.
emotional.
But right. But that portrayal of strength, so that we're not walked all over by sexists that think that they can push a woman around. I love. I'll just say real quick in the chat. Everybody, please don't come for me. I'm not a Liz Cheney fan. Okay,
Don't
I'm
leave
not.
my friend Kevin alone, y'all.
Thank you. I'm not a fan of her or Kissinger. I'm just saying I don't think I would label them evil because
Yeah,
they're
that's fine.
Republican.
That's fine.
But I agree, though. I do feel like Liz Cheney's very calculated and she's thinking long term. So I'm with
That's
you on
why
that,
it's fun to
Susan.
be on with Kevin because we disagree. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
cool.
Mm.
Oh,
Well, we've
Hillary
been on
Clinton
for
is a
almost an
Scorpio
hour. Is there
too.
anything else you want to look at real quick
Oh
before
my
we wrap
God,
up,
how did that
Susan?
happen?
It went by
Um,
so quickly, didn't it?
yeah, I know, right? Um,
I don't trust them
let's
either, you guys.
I'm the one you don't want to be president because I would be like, what did you just say to me? Did you just say
Right?
that to the United States of America? Be like, I need a general. Uh, oh, here, this last thing, Lisa Ann says, why didn't the Teamsters endorse Kamala? It turns out that some of the individual Teamsters, like in California and some other places, did endorse her. My take is that, again, don't come for me, Teamsters or whatever, but what I get is there's a lot of like white racist dudes in the Teamsters. And
Mm,
they they also the Teamsters are afraid of increased trade, like the NAFTA thing. They're kind of worried about
mm,
Democrats saying we're going to increase trade with Mexico and Canada. Um, and Democrats are big on regulation. So you know what I mean? So then that
mhm.
costs truckers, that costs a lot of people money. So
I feel like they asked for something that Kamala Harris wasn't comfortable giving them, and because of that, that's why they were holding it out.
okay. So some of the more liberal states or Democratic states did come on board. Um,
Mhm,
but also they they know that the Dems are going to fight for them. You know what I mean? Without any kind of support from the Teamsters, they know that we're going to fight for them. So, it's not like they lose anything, to be honest with you.
yeah, well, and I think I'm not really all that familiar with the Teamster Union or who they represent and all of that, but I believe the leader spoke at the RNC. Um,
Yes, he
but
did.
he wanted something, I think, like I said, he wanted something more than what Kamala was willing to like kind of negotiate with him for the support. Um, but I guess in the very least, even though he spoke at the RNC, at least he didn't endorse Trump too. Like he couldn't get that far to kind of support the other side, but because he didn't get his way with something, he's like, "Well, I'm not endorsing you." That's kind of the vibe I'm picking up with that.
So do you feel like this guy's going to get booted by the Teamsters? He's
I don't
going to
know
get
if
voted out?
immediately, but I don't know how much longer he'll be in there. I do feel like there's a change there eventually.
Yeah. I think if he can't be flexible, then I think they're going to need him to get out because these are big changes. We all need to be flexible right now. It's going to
Hmm.
be very helpful. Did you Yeah, Aspie said that her dad was a Teamster. They're like a small country inside a large nation that kind of have their own laws too. Wow. Yeah, that's like down here, the ILGA, the International Law
Hmm.
Longshoremen, the longshoremen, like same thing. Like that's a different world in there, like
Yeah.
probably not a good world. But anyway. And last thing about any earthquakes, because you're the earthquake guy. You're the one who feels them in your body.
Yeah, well, normally it's kind of like a download, like a ringing in the ear, and it makes me feel very nauseous. I did get one shortly after that last quake in California, and I think that there was something up like the Cascadian fault up north. I feel like the area is active for a while. It's
And
like it's relieving a
internationally
lot of
too.
stress.
Oh,
Oh
I
yeah,
see.
everywhere. That ring of fire um, is super active with like the earthquakes, volcanoes.
I did get something in the I thought it was South Pacific Sea, but now is there a China Sea? They're reminding
Hmm.
me. I got this last week. South Pacific Sea. But I think there could be something else in the South China Sea, if that's a thing. That's kind of what I'm getting right now. Um,
An earthquake.
or an earthquake and in the water, in the ocean. So like a
Yeah,
tsunami kind of situation.
yeah.
Wow, a
I
5.1
I
in
agree with
Texas.
that.
Wow.
I have kind of felt that for a while. To me, I was
Okay.
actually picking up maybe more South Pacific, like maybe around that Tonga region again, but um, it doesn't feel like it's, like apocalyptic
Populated?
or anything, but I do feel like
Right.
there's some damage, yeah, for sure. But it's everything kind of adjusting. I do pick up earthquakes, volcanoes, maybe landslides, that kind of stuff.
You guys, we that's the flexibility, right? That they just said be
Yeah,
flexible. And when the earth is moving, you gotta have to be flexible, right? Or else, if you try to be rigid, it is not the right thing. So
yeah,
the best advice is be very flexible. Drink lots of water. This lunar eclipse, all these changes, I feel like our body is absorbing, and also a lot of space weather. There's a lot of
hmm,
space weather, a lot of flares. And I feel like our body's absorbing a lot of extra energy and
yeah.
water flushes it. So drink extra water and you'll feel better.
And make sure that you're staying grounded, especially for us empaths, because the energy is so intense. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself, um, grounding the energy. I agree. Water's very good at kind of flushing out anything because what it's doing is it's part of this raising the vibrations collective shift that we're going through. It's just very overwhelming for the physical body as we're being upgraded by all the solar flares and we just had the lunar eclipse too. So um, you know, make sure that you're kind of like taking it easy and laying low, but grounding and protecting your energy is so important.
Yeah. Just Google grounding, you know what I mean? And find the way
Hmm.
that works for you. There's so many ways to do it. I was out walking in the lunar eclipse this morning, barefoot in the grass,
Oh, I
drinking
love
water.
it.
So, yeah, beer is not hydrating, but you could probably donuts aren't either, so don't worry. Cheese, not either. No, you really want to kind of stick to water and electrolytes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love going outside, and for me, it's just kind of like not necessarily meditating, but doing the deep breathing, the relaxation breathing, and
Nice.
grounding with the earth. And for me, like seeing all the birds, and it's starting to get a little bit colder, but we still have some flowers in the garden. But that's how I rest and recharge when I need it.
Nice. Me too. Me too. Yeah, chocolate is not, my guide said it's not helpful.
What about cheese?
Not helpful. No,
No.
I went today. You for real know something is going down on this planet because today I went and bought a salad that's bigger than my car seat. I'm like, what is
Okay.
this thing? What am I gonna do with this thing? Like, can you drizzle chocolate on it or something? I mean, I'm gonna put cheese on it, that's for sure. But when I'm buying that much salad, something's going down. Something is going
Yeah.
down, y'all. Oh no, dark chocolate is good. Chocolate, everything in moderation, you guys. Everything in
Yeah.
moderation.
It's all
But
about
right
the ebbs
now,
and
you
flows
really
and the
might want to drink
balance,
some more
right?
water. What's that?
Hmm. Everything is in moderation and balance, nothing in excess,
Everything.
right?
Literally everything. And that means news and
Yeah.
stress and all of this, right? Like your phone. The guides were telling me today, and I know this is true, but this is really keeping us from using our intuition, right? Like this is um because we're just stuffing stuff into our
Mm,
mind and our energy, and we're not sitting staring at the sky. We're not doing a crossword puzzle. We don't have any space for the
mhm.
spirit guides to drop in some information. So also limit this. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, and it's a distraction too, I mean, it takes so
It's a
much of our
distract. It's an
attention.
addiction.
It's an
Swear to God,
addiction,
it's an
right?
addiction.
And I'm not always the best with it myself.
I'm
I've
terrible with it.
gotten better. I haven't had the most lately. I've been so busy. I haven't had a lot of time to really look at the phone. But yeah, especially like late night, I would say like when you're trying to go to sleep, just put the phone down.
Put
Turn
it
off
in
the
the other
TV.
room. But I really like to listen to like sleep meditations.
Yeah, I do too.
So I should I don't know how to do that if you're not doing it on your phone. But it's just
Well, if
I guess
you,
it's self control.
what I do is I have my AirPods in and I find the music and I just put it down and just sleep with the AirPods in, or if you have
That's a
comfortable
great
headphones.
idea. Because you could even
Sometimes
put
it
the
hurts
phone
my
like,
ears though.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know, right? Like, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Is there anything
Well,
else
we'll
you
have
want to
to get
chat
to the rest
about
of your
before we wrap
questions. I
up?
mean, there's a million questions, but I don't
Right.
think we can. I'm good, but um, I, we are gonna listen. Everything is gonna be Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and our Democrats see all the problems. Don't think they
Mhm.
don't. They see the school problem, the safety problem. They see all of this. If we can get enough of them in so that we have a real majority, we can really pass some laws and we can start
Mhm.
really dealing with these things, right? So I feel like they're going to really start dealing with stuff as fast and as furious as they can once they get in.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
They
I mean,
just
it's
have
gonna
to
take
get
some time, but I see them like kind of right out the gate, like getting
right out the
things done.
gate. She's pretty
Yeah.
quick, but we need down ballot. We've got to get these senators, we've got to get these reps, we've got to get them elected. So again, you can amplify their posts, you can go to their site and just share and like, and if in your
Mhm.
local community, you can send them $5 or send them
Yeah.
vibrations or whatever it is that you want to do. I think it's funny because my friend, I didn't even know she was going to do this. We were at dinner and she says, I got to go to the restroom. So I was scooting out of the booth to let her out. And she had these post-it notes. So do you know about the post-it note thing?
I think you told me about it, but I don't remember. It
Women,
sounds vaguely familiar.
women write on a post-it note, right? Like your husband or your brother or your dad or your boyfriend is not going to be in the booth with you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you vote your conscience,
Yeah.
and stick it on the inside of the women's restroom door. It's this undercurrent of women,
I love
and
it.
I also think, Haitian Americans
Yeah.
and different minorities all coming together in this groundswell. But I just thought, wow, she's doing it. That's awesome, right? Like
Mm.
get your post-it notes, write whatever you want to write on it. I don't know. Um, yeah, see butterfly. A lot of people are doing it. A lot of women are doing it.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's just those reminders that, some women need, especially those that, maybe their husbands vote a different way, and it's like you don't need to really discuss it. You're private when you're, putting your vote in, so do vote your conscience.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And it's a reminder to vote too. And
Yeah.
everybody check your registration. We all know what they're doing. And, but be flexible because you're going to see, like Kevin said earlier, you're going to see all kind of shenanigans,
Hmm.
on the campuses. You're going to see shenanigans in your state potentially. What I would say is duly noted, like these 4 people, I'm gonna remember your names, right? I'm going to do
Hmm.
what I can next year and the year after to make sure that you don't get elected. But in the meantime, you have to just be flexible and know it's not the end of the world. We're still going to overcome. But I do see some problems, some like losses, you know what I mean? That
Hmm.
we shouldn't have lost, some
Yeah.
egregious, just like so like, but try not to focus on that. Try to focus on the wins.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, check your voter registration if you're able to donate. I think, especially for some of those close competitive Senate races, I think that that's so important. From now into the election, I'm donating 10% of what I make on YouTube to
Nice.
Harris and Democrats. So as a way to give back.
Nice.
But if you're
Thank
able
you.
to, make sure that you're doing that. Before we wrap up, is there anything you have going on with your channel that you want to share, Susan? Anything in the
Uh,
works or anything that you want to announce?
I am just very briefly, I'm super excited. I have my second annual Connect to Empower in
Yes.
October 13 and 14. And turns out I have 2 tickets available. It's sold out actually a couple of times because kept adding more tickets. But
Okay.
a couple decided they couldn't make it. So I do have 2 tickets available. You can check that out on my website, susanlynnmedium.com. But I'm super excited about it. And I know you have an event coming up at the end of the month, right? Like in 2 weeks, you've got an
Yeah. Well,
event that
no.
you're
Next,
doing
it's
in
it's
Chicago.
a week from
Oh
today.
my God, is
Next
it just
next
a week away?
Wednesday, I'll be in Chicago for Mel's event, which I'm really looking forward to.
Nice.
Um, I do have a Holy Fire Reiki level 1 and 2 class in October, the 12th and 13th. Kind of an all-day thing for both days. I have
Is
2
it
spots
online
open.
or in person?
It's online,
Online.
but virtual through Zoom, so it's interactive. And so if you've wanted to learn Reiki, or if you know Reiki and want to be upgraded to the Holy Fire energy, which is really powerful, um, check it all out. I have it all on my website, kevinlovingvibrations.com. Like I said, October 12th and 13th, I have 2 spots open left for that. Um, and it's good for beginners, and I'm pretty laid back with it too. I mean, there's a lot of information going in, but it'll be a fun time to connect, and it'll be a really healing and transformative class. So
Nice. Nice.
anybody's interested in that, go check that out. I think besides that, please make sure that you hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to Susan's channel if you haven't. Susan Lynn, is it Psychic Medium? Is that what the
I think
channel's
it's
called right
Spirit
now?
Navigator now.
Spirit
Susan Lynn, Spirit
Navigator now. Yeah.
Navigator on YouTube. Yeah. And
Go
check
check
your
her out.
subscriptions because with all the politics going on, you could be unsubscribed from us.
Yeah,
Just that kind of thing.
absolutely. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so as well. It really helps us out. Gets our message out to as many people as possible. So, Susan, it's so much fun, and I always enjoy our collabs. The next time we'll get together, we'll be on your channel, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you
Take
all so
really
much
good
for
care,
stopping
everybody.
by. Yes. Take care. Stay grounded. Envision, this positive outcome. It's going to be exciting, but it's going to be a bit of journey to get there. So, all right, everyone, have a great evening. Bye bye.